Ghislaine Maxwell has been tight as a tick for almost 10 years. She had a whole trial. She was convicted. She didn't say much. I don't know. It kind of feels fishy that today, all of a sudden, she had so much to say, allegedly.
Right. So, for starters, let's just back up about what she did. This woman is a monster, okay? She's somebody who would go to recruit the little girls for Jeffrey Epstein. Anybody who's got a child in summer camp right now, she would go to the summer camps to find...
It's amazing that they're talking about this now. I guarantee you, MSNBC never ran a story on this prior to Trump pushing back and trying to, squash this issue. I'll take a look. I'll do a quick search and see what they've done. But I guarantee you, this was nowhere on the radar of MSNBC prior to all this going down.
Find them, and then she would groom them so they would feel comfortable with him, and then she would abuse them and he would abuse them. That's who the Department of Justice decided to talk to today. So when you're dealing with a monster, you can cooperate a monster, that is possible. The first thing they have to do is say, I did it. I'm guilty. I admit my guilt, and I'm going to help you make a case against other people. To date, we have no reason to believe she's done that. She's always maintained her innocence. That's why she went to trial. Under oath in a deposition, she said there was no sex trafficking operation. There was no conspiracy here. That's why she was charged with perjury. So unless she comes in and says, I did it, I'm guilty, and she's not going to do that because she has an appeal pending before the Supreme Court. So I guess maybe the rules don't apply to Ghislaine Maxwell, and Todd Blanche just wanted to ask her about other people, knowing that if she doesn't admit her own guilt, she can never be a witness against anybody else at a trial. And then the other piece is before her trial, she said to the court, through her lawyers, that she has no corroborating evidence for her account of things. No witnesses that are alive. People are either dead or missing or just don't remember. No documents. So if you have your word and you don't have anything to support your account, you're not usable as a witness against anybody. So if Ghislaine Maxwell, if you believe her that she has no evidence to support herself and she is somebody who cannot be used as a witness, what is Todd Blanche doing there? He is there to distract everybody from the Epstein.
See, I personally think that I would assume they have tried this already, or they must have tried it already. I think that this whole sitting down with Maxwell should have been kept under wraps. I don't think this should have been something. Again, the problem that I see here with the way they're addressing this is they're getting this stoked up. They're constantly fanning the flames of this issue, right? Don't talk about it. Stop talking about it. Do what you have to do and give a boilerplate answer when somebody asks about it. What's going on with Epstein? Right now, we're speaking to people involved. We're analyzing the evidence and the data. We'll get it out in a timely manner. Period. That's it. Put that on rinse and repeat. Right? The fact that, because it honestly, I mean, let's be real. It was the podcast community that put this out there. That we gotta speak to Maxwell. We gotta hear what she has to say, right? And it worked, right? They said, okay, let's do that. Now they're doing it, but they're talking about it, and everyone's like, oh look, they're talking to Maxwell. What did she say? Because now people are expecting, because now they already know that you know more than you knew before. And they're going to expect you to say it. And they're going to expect this information to get out. They're not allowing the story to cool down. And I mean, I don't know. Maybe it's not a bad strategy, because maybe it'll just burn itself out, because it'll when things burn really hot. I don't see that happening with this, just because it's just been so poorly handled. But yeah, I mean, the whole thing about, her not being credible, like who gives a shit, right? Who cares? We just need the information. Like when it comes to law enforcement, when it comes to prosecutions, when it comes to things like that, there are certain times where you're not going to be able to use things in court, but you just need the info, right? You need the info to continue the investigation. And a lot of times it's better just to have the information, even though you can't use it in court, because now you know how to steer the investigation. You know where to take things now, right? If somebody, let's say somebody knows that this person has a gun, or they deal in guns, or whatever it is they're doing, but they're not going to sign up as a confidential informant. You cannot act on that intel. But now you have the intel, right? And then maybe rather than now you looking at 10 people, you focus in on a couple of others and you can follow that individual or understand where that individual is going. And then maybe that individual does something else. And now you can, articulate stopping them, talking to them. Maybe they commit another crime because you're watching them because they're in your scope now. So a lot of times information like that is used just to narrow down the scope of an investigation. Doesn't necessarily mean that you can go and swear and testify to it.
File and to get them thinking about something else. Maybe there's an investigative lead. Maybe we're not going to charge anybody based on what she says, but maybe we'll leak some things because we know she has every incentive, having served now facing 20 years, that she has every incentive to tell him something he would want to hear. And so she's going to give him some breadcrumbs and then maybe something leaks, maybe something doesn't. And if that's what we're doing, then the Department of Justice is no better than the National Enquirer.
Look,
Woo!
there was a mistake going down there. All you're doing is giving, once again, it's the lead of our story tonight. So once again, it's one more facet to the story. And I actually want to pick up where Chuck Schumer left off. And it's like, to me, the only reason I can come up with is to go down there and set up some clemency, set up some pardoning, and basically have her say the things that they want her to say. What's the other reason for going down there? Because if anything, it flames the story. And Tim, it's interesting. You know Trump better than anybody. The one thing he is about is controlling the narrative, producing. He's been producing every day in his entire life. This is the one narrative that's getting away from him. And that's why I think even the Blanche stuff is the wrong move. How about try and stay a little below the radar for a little bit?
Because as you also know, he's a control freak. And so you've got this moment in which, there's probably 4 or 5 things Donald Trump cares about, none of which are public policy, none of which are, conducting himself in this office as he should. It's generally food, sports, sex, gossip, money, and his own image. And probably among all of those, his image is paramount. And most everything he does is about staying in the spotlight and then controlling how he's seen in that spotlight. And now,
I mean, the things that he named is like, yeah, a lot of people care about those things. So I don't know why he's, obviously this guy just hates Trump and whatever. I don't even know who this person is, but somebody can tell me in the comments.
For the last 3 weeks or so, he has lost control of the narrative. He's lost control of the people that he normally seeks to help him readjust or get the narrative back onto the rails. Yeah. But broadcasters and the MAGA base, both of whom have a different view of this than he does. Or at least they are not as concerned as he is about keeping these files out of daylight. On top of it, he's got, I think, divisions.
Which leads me to believe, again, like I said in the previous video, or whichever one, someone sat him down, most likely somebody from the Netanyahu camp, because again, a lot of this happened post Netanyahu visiting Washington, and explained to him what was going to be released if in fact it got released. And it was probably a lot of stuff that Trump doesn't want out for whatever reason. It could be people that he's close to. It could be that his name shows up a couple times and he doesn't want that to get out there to be used. It could be that, they have a bunch of intel or information on somebody that they're, that our government is blackmailing. And if it gets out, then they lose the leverage on this person. There's a million different ways to process this and to try to understand it. It's very complex, and most of the stuff that's in, we just don't know at the end of the day. What we do know and what looks apparent is that there was a quick pivot. There was a quick turn to try to squash this. And this guy, even though I probably don't like him, but he's correct, right? This was a misstep. And I don't know who he's listening to try to right the ship, but it's not working. It's not working. They need a complete change of course. They need people to do damage control. They need people that understand the issue. Obviously, they have to get some outsiders, and they got to try to fix this.
Within the White House, there are different people within the White House initially weren't on the same page. Kash Patel and Pam Bondi and Dan Bongino, and now he's got members of the House who aren't coming to his aid either. You got the House now subpoenaing these records. So everywhere he looks, where he normally looks to control a narrative, he has no support. So now they've gone into silence mode, which, as anyone knows who's doing crisis communications, the last thing you do is crawl into a corner and play with yarn and be quiet.
But this seems the more they do, the more they fan it. So I know you can't hide your head, but you also can't fuel the fire.
There is one organization, though. There's one wing of the government that is doing his bidding, and one could argue that is DOJ. I want to read you what Todd Blanche just tweeted. Today, I met with Ghislaine Maxwell, and I will continue my interview of her tomorrow. The Department of Justice will share additional information about what we learned at the appropriate time. Now, keep that in your mind as I read this to you from Ankush Khadori from Politico, talking about the role that the Justice Department has played in all of this. Right now, everyone should be asking whether the highest levels of the federal government, including but not limited to the president, the VP, the AG, the FBI director, possibly even some Republican leaders in Congress, depending on what they knew and when, have been misleading the American public for weeks, if not months. Our Politico colleague Ankush Khadori, himself a former federal prosecutor, tells Playbook, this is bigger than Donald Trump. It is about a network of people who are now willing to continue carrying his water.
Absolutely. I mean, the first idea is they're trying to, again, deflect. We'll make some things available about what she said. That's not how you actually prosecute a case.
Yeah, whatever. She's rehashing the same thing. Oh, yep, they've handled it terribly. Don't know how they're going to get back the narrative on this. But yeah, it's causing people to dig deeper and deeper and deeper. And again, there's no reason to tweet that out. Just talk to Maxwell and just shut up about it. If you got good information, great. Turn it over to DOJ. If you didn't get anything, don't turn it over to DOJ. I don't know, but just stop talking about it. Right? I mean, it's what the guys, the other guy that I didn't like, well, I don't know who the hell he is, but he's like, oh, you can't back into a corner and be quiet. I wish they would. I wish they would just switch it up. Change lanes, just talk about anything else but this. Because it's just getting to a point now where this is all we can talk about. This is all we can talk about because of how poorly it's being handled. And you're getting drips here, drips there, changing course. No, there's nothing to see here. I'm reviewing thousands of hours of video. No, that's just kitty porn or whatever. And it's a disaster. It's a disaster. I just wish this could be over already, so that, because there's a lot of things that are going well right now. The trade deals coming out like that. That's the kind of stuff that we want to be talking about, right? The trade deals, the $500 billion in investment that Japan's going to be sending our way, and they're still being tariffed to 15%, right? This probably backs Canada into a corner. And now Canada's going to have to play ball, and they're going to get a much worse deal now than they would have had they played ball earlier. This is the kind of stuff we should be talking about, right? The good things that are happening, but we're bogged down in Epstein world because they can't get out of the way. Just get out of the way. Just fucking stop talking about it. Stop putting out tweets and stop doing. It should be just everything in house. It's a huddle. Everyone huddle. Let's keep this to ourselves. Keep everything close to the chest. Hey, listen, we're doing this. It'll get out when it gets out. That's all you're going to get, right? But you have Bondi. You have all these people that keep stirring up the pot, and then it's another news cycle again. It's another 3, 4, 5 days. This is another week. It's another month of just talking about this nonstop. I always forget to do this, but if you are still here, please hit the subscribe button. Really helps me out a lot. Lets you know when I release another video, which I do every single day. So hit the subscribe button. Thank you guys so much. If you want to check me out on the X, 6283 Talk on X, you can follow me there and see what I post, and I make little short videos there. Guys, thanks a lot for coming out. We'll see you again in the next video. Take care.